One of the themes of this year's Texas Tribune Festival is the relationship between the press corps and the presidential administration. Someone who knows a little something about that is Josh Earnest, former press secretary for former President Barack Obama. You served 2014 to 2017.
As his press secretary for those 3 years, but I was in the Obama White House as a spokesperson in the White House for all 8 years that he was there.
Welcome to the Texas Tribune Festival. This is your first time, right?
It's my first time at the festival. I've been to Texas many times. I went to college at Rice, and then I actually did about 6 weeks of the Obama primary in Texas in the spring of 2008. So I've actually have a lot of good memories of Austin from that campaign.
Wonderful. Well, we appreciate you being here. I guess as somebody who stood behind that podium, what have you made of the last 9-10 months or so watching the current administration and the current press secretaries field questions?
Yeah. Well, the current press secretaries for President Trump have taken a different approach than the one that I felt like worked pretty well for us in the Obama White House. But that's true basically across the administration. President Trump is very different than his predecessor. Vice President Pence is fighting for different things and handles his job very differently than Vice President Biden did. So it's not particularly surprising that the spokesperson who's supposed to reflect those views does it in a pretty different way too. Obviously, I was rooting for somebody else to win the election, but in the last several weeks of the Obama White House, it was the disappointment of the outcome of the election sort of turned into this feeling of responsibility about making sure that we pass on a well-functioning White House to our successor and root for their success, hope that they can succeed in advancing the country's interests, and that they'd been given the responsibility by the American people to do so. And obviously, I have some profound differences and even some serious concerns about the way they've handled their responsibilities, but this is what our democracy demands. There are times where I won't lie, it's been hard to watch, but look, this is our system of government, and until somebody comes along with a better one, this is what we're going to endure.
You've written that it's a difficult job. Do you feel you were successful in your role, and how do you measure that success?
Yeah. It's hard to know how to measure that success because the responsibility of the White House press corps is to ask skeptical questions and to demand proof and evidence and logic in defending the position that you're advocating. And so it means that there's never going to be a moment where I give a really solid answer to a question in the briefing room and the reporters all sit back and go, "Man, that was really good. You've convinced me." If there's ever a day that happens, it means those reporters have stopped doing their job. So the way that we tried to evaluate our success was how effective could we be in shaping the coverage? How effective could we be in laying out an argument that would show up in the coverage for why we were doing what we were doing? And how did we fulfill our responsibility to the American people to be transparent, to be held accountable for the actions that we were taking? Evaluating the performance of somebody in this role is a little bit in the eye of the beholder, but the reason that I felt good about my performance and the way that we had served is that I felt like I'd lived up to a pretty high standard of making sure that even in the public eye that we were adhering to a core set of values that President Obama campaigned on and frankly a core set of values that I'd been raised on. We weren't perfect, but I think by and large we met that standard quite well.
Out of curiosity, have you talked to Sean Spicer since he's left that post?
He and I we've been briefly in touch, but not had a substantive conversation. When he left, I sent him a note wishing him well, but I've not. I'm going to resist the urge to make a joke about that, but I will. I will say that, and that's true. Obviously, serving in the White House is a demanding job, and he was obviously there for a very demanding 6 months, and. Hopefully he will use a little bit more of this free time to spend some time with his family, who I'm sure missed him when he was working really hard in the White House.
Real quick, what's next for you?
Well, I'm working with NBC News. I'm on a contract with them, so I occasionally appear on television with them. And I'm spending some time talking to people who have successfully made the transition from service in government to service in the business world. So I'm looking for the next new challenge. I don't know what it's going to be, but I'm excited about it.
Enjoy the Texas Tribune Festival, and thanks for participating in today's panel.
I already am. It's nice to see you, Alana.
Wonderful. Nice to see you. Reporting at the 2017 Texas Tribune Festival, I'm Alana Rocha.